Welcome back. Ready to dive deep today.
Always up for a deep dive. What are we exploring today?
Today, we're going deep into the surprisingly complex world of stripper hygiene. Got our stack of sources right here, articles, books, even some firsthand accounts.
Oh, interesting. Not a topic you think about every day, but it makes sense there'd be a lot to unpack.
Right, and let me tell you, the level of detail these dancers go into is seriously impressive.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot more involved than just like a quick perfume spritz before hitting the stage.
I can imagine. So, what's the deal with stripper hygiene? Why is it such a big deal in that line of work?
Well, from what I'm gathering from all these sources, it really boils down to this. Hygiene is like totally key for their performance, their confidence, the whole client experience.
All connected, huh?
Exactly. It's like this whole interconnected ecosystem. When a dancer feels clean and confident, it shows in their performance, which translates to a better experience for the client.
Makes sense. Confidence goes a long way, no matter what you're doing. And a better client experience often leads to
Better tips. It's not just about feeling good. It's actually a smart business strategy. But let's be real, staying fresh under those hot stage lights all night can't be easy. So how do they do it?
Right, that's the million-dollar question. Well, it's definitely a multi-pronged approach, and it starts long before they even set foot on stage. The sources really hammered home the importance of pre-show prep.
Yeah, like a pregame ritual.
Exactly. And a thorough shower with mild soap was a recurring theme I kept seeing.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah?
Get squeaky clean before you even think about anything else.
Yeah.
But what about deodorant? Are we talking those super strength clinical brands?
No, it wasn't as clear-cut as you might think. While clinical strength was definitely mentioned, a lot of sources stressed the importance of finding what works best for your body. Some even recommended natural deodorants to avoid any weird reactions with their costume.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. All those different fabrics and materials rubbing up against your skin.
Exactly. And speaking of costumes, that was another big takeaway from the research. It's not just about looking good. Dancers put a lot of thought into choosing breathable fabrics, especially for their undergarments.
Makes sense. No one wants to be stuck in sweaty clothes all night.
Exactly. They specifically mentioned cotton a lot. Helps minimize bacteria buildup and keeps things fresh, if you know what I mean.
Oh, absolutely. It's like a whole secret world of performance hacks we're uncovering. But even with the best prep in the world, those dances are high energy. What's the secret to staying fresh mid-performance?
Well, this is where those insider tips come in. Unscented or very lightly scented body wipes were a lifesaver, according to the dancers. Discreet, effective, perfect for a quick refresh between dances.
That's brilliant, like a mini shower on the go. What about costume changes? Do they swap outfits throughout the night to stay ahead of things?
Oh, absolutely. Costume changes are crucial. Sweaty clothes, even with all the prep, can trap odors and bacteria. Having multiple backup outfits to change into throughout the night was huge.
Makes you realize how physically demanding it must be, like constantly moving, keeping that energy up, all while still looking and feeling fresh. Yeah? Talking a workout.
Oh, for sure. And it goes beyond just changing clothes, too. A lot of the sources really emphasize the importance of proper laundry care.
Oh, interesting. So, like, regular detergent isn't going to cut it.
Seems like it. They were recommending using an antibacterial detergent to really neutralize any lingering odors.
Ah, that makes sense. Get rid of all those little microbes doing their thing in the fabric. And no dryer, I'm guessing.
You got it. Air drying is key. Helps prevent that musty smell, especially with those elaborate costumes.
Right. Those things are probably covered in sequins and feathers. Okay, so we've got the sweat situation covered, but what about other delicate matters? Like, how do they deal with something like vaginal odor, especially in such a close contact profession?
That's a great question, and honestly, a lot of the sources tackled it head on. Breathable fabrics were a big one, especially for undergarments.
Right. Cotton undies to the rescue.
Exactly. And of course, regular gynecological checkups are crucial for just overall vaginal health. But one thing that was a big no-no, according to the sources, was using those harsh douches or sprays.
Oh, really? Why is that? You'd think those would be, like, top of the list for this kind of thing.
It does seem counterintuitive, but apparently they can actually mess with your natural pH balance down there.
And make things worse, not better.
Exactly.
Wow. So much for those fancy feminine hygiene products. Sometimes less is more, I guess.
I think that's the takeaway here for sure. Work with your body, not against it. Gentle products, staying hydrated, regular checkups. It's about creating a healthy baseline from the inside out.
It's like a holistic approach to hygiene. It's funny, you go into these deep dives thinking it's about one specific thing, but there are always these universal takeaways you can apply to your own life no matter what.
Totally. It's all connected. And speaking of connections, another interesting thing that came up a lot in the research was the link between diet and body odor.
Oh, right. I remember you mentioned that earlier. Something about garlic and onions.
Yeah, those were definitely on the no-no list, but some sources even went into detail about how different spices and stuff can impact your natural scent. It's pretty fascinating. Being mindful of what you eat, especially in the hours leading up to a performance, can make a big difference, apparently.
Wow. So it really is like prepping for a big event from the inside out.
Exactly. And hydration. Can't forget hydration. Drinking plenty of water throughout the day, especially during those long, demanding shifts, is super important. It helps flush out toxins naturally, keeps your energy levels up, all that good stuff.
Hydration is magic. Okay, before we wrap things up, there's one more elephant in the room we got to address. And this is something I hadn't even considered until reading these sources. Periods.
Yes, the monthly visitor definitely adds another layer of complexity to the whole thing.
For sure. So how do they do it? What's the secret?
Well, it's less about a secret and more about being prepared and having a system. It seems like most dancers rely on a combination of menstrual cups or tampons, emphasizing comfort, and, something that allows for freedom of movement.
Right, those glittery costumes probably don't leave much room for error.
Exactly. Having spare supplies on hand was another big one that came up. Because, let's face it, periods don't always follow a strict schedule, even if you're a seasoned performer.
It really is amazing how dancers adapt and overcome these challenges.
Yeah.
It's easy to focus on the performance aspect, but this whole deep dive has given me, a whole new level of respect for the behind-the-scenes dedication.
It really does. It's athleticism, it's artistry, and as we've seen, a surprising amount of strategy and planning.
Absolutely. It's like a masterclass in self-care professionalism all rolled into one.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up our exploration into this surprisingly complex world of stripper hygiene, any final thoughts, any big takeaways for our listeners?
I think it's easy to come into these topics with certain preconceived notions, but at the end of the day, it's about respecting the craft, acknowledging the effort that goes into creating this experience.
So well said. It's a good reminder that there's always more than meets the eye, no matter what world we're diving into.
Exactly. And sometimes those hidden depths have some pretty valuable insights we can all learn from.
Couldn't agree more. Well, on that note, I think it's time for us to step off the stage and give our listeners a chance to process all this newfound knowledge.
Until next time, remember, never underestimate the power of a good hygiene routine.
And never judge a performance until you've walked a mile in their heels. Thanks for diving deep with us, everyone. We'll catch you on the next one.
Every bag dripping envy, boss chick status. They can never be friendly. Hopping out the coupe, body thick, curved belly. All about my paper broke dudes, keep it steady. Fendi on the frames, Versace on my eyes. All this money that I'm stacking got me floating to the sky. Beat body